Welcome back to a new video on Mind Vibes. Developing your intuition means having access to one of the most powerful tools of our mind, a tool refined by hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. Let's find out how to actually do it. Indeed, cultivating intuition can have benefits in the most varied areas of our lives. Intuition in decisions helps us not to make mistakes that we could bitterly regret. Intuition in judging people correctly helps us to have better relationships. Intuition at work helps us accelerate our careers. Combining intuition and logic, heart and brain, therefore means fully exploiting our human potential. In this video, we will see together what intuition really is, why we shouldn't ignore it, and how we can develop it to the fullest. But let's start from the definition of intuition and try to discover it in an intuitive way. But first, as always, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. What is intuition? Here is the true meaning. Intuition helps us solve complex problems, providing us with original and naturally correct solutions. But what is even more interesting, it allows us to do it quickly, an indispensable requirement when, living in the middle of the savannah, we had to find quick and functional solutions to challenges that jeopardized our very survival. No, don't worry, if you haven't been able to solve the above exercise in a few moments, it's completely natural. It happens to many. It simply means that the time has come to awaken your intuition, and this is precisely the purpose of the video. You may be wondering, how do these intuitions work? DNA of an intuition. To understand how intuition works, we must first understand what blocks our intuition. If you're having trouble managing your intuition, it's probably because you cannot understand the problem well, or rather, you had taken some hypotheses for granted. You stuck with your initial idea and weren't able to think outside the box. You kept applying the same, wrong approach differently instead of trying new ones. When faced with a new problem, a new situation, or a new person, it is completely natural to have prejudices or to apply this new way of thinking to which we are already accustomed. We don't do it out of malice. Biases and implicit assumptions, also known as cognitive biases, are our brain's way of saving time and energy. But being aware of it is the first step in broadening our views and strengthening our intuition. If what we have just seen blocks our intuitions, what is it that facilitates them instead? Mark Beeman, neuroscientist at Northwestern University and author of the book Eureka Factor, is perhaps one of the world's leading experts on the subject of intuition. According to Beeman, there are three elements that make up intuition. The solution is found on an unconscious level. Often we have an intuition when we are not thinking about that problem at all, consciously. A classic example is the brilliant ideas we have while perhaps taking a shower. Our mind is relaxed. Taking the example of the shower, many people have intuitions under the rush of hot water, precisely because that is one of the few moments in which we truly relax. Here, calm and good humor are the humus for the best intuitions. We are pervaded by a sense of surprise. When the sudden response emerges in our conscious mind, it almost takes us by surprise, but this surprise induces a sense of confidence essential to having new insights in the future. Technically speaking, an insight is nothing more than a forgotten memory or a new combination of neural pathways. Well, now that we know the genesis of an intuition, let's find out how to have more and more correct intuitions. 3 practical strategies to develop intuition. Expressions like feminine intuition can imply that intuition is something you are born with, especially if you are born a female. There is no doubt that the female gender has a sixth sense which, at times, appears supernatural, but like most mental abilities, intuition can also be trained, and even boys can strengthen their own. Let's see some practical tips to do it, whether you are a woman or a man. Number 1. Expand your vocabulary. More and more studies confirm that language has been one of the most important conquests for mankind. We take the ability to communicate through the written and spoken words so much for granted that we don't even realize what the world would be like without our ability to communicate. Another aspect that we underestimate is the impact that language has on our thinking. In other words, And it is appropriate to say it, the poorer our language, the more limited and repetitive our thoughts will be. On the contrary, having a large vocabulary and advanced language skills allows us to have a more articulated, profound, and varied thought, essential characteristics for making new intuitions flourish. The first thing we can therefore do to develop our intuition is to strengthen our vocabulary, and the most effective way to do this is undoubtedly read, and read again. Number 2. Surrender. The personal growth industry is full of buzzwords and bullshit like, if you want, you can. You have to believe it. Never give up. Impossible is nothing. For heaven's sake, sometimes there's a little ignorant motivation, but we can't live our lives by dint of injections of adrenaline motivation. And this also applies to those problems or those decisions on which we have been banging our heads for too long without coming to terms with it. Forget about having the right intuition by continuing to butt heads on the same wall. Sometimes, the only way forward is to give up. Let me explain. The more we persist in the same wrong solution, remember the 9 dots exercise, the more we lose sight of alternative solutions. According to the inhibition theory of the psychologist Stellan Olson, in fact, in order for the correct intuition to mature, we must inhibit the wrong solutions. Here, in this sense, giving up temporarily, or rather releasing the energies used in the conscious effort to find a logical solution, allows our mind to activate the mechanism of intuition. In short, the next time you find yourself going crazy over an apparently unsolvable problem, switch off. Take a walk in nature, go out with your friends, take a hot bath. Let intuition do its job. Number 3. Cultivate your empathy. As we have seen, our intuitions are often blocked by the inability to get out of our usual mental patterns. In short, we live too much in our heads, in our subjective reality, and we are not used to thinking differently, to put ourselves in other people's shoes. To strengthen our intuition, we must therefore learn to cultivate our empathy, or, as Severino explains, that ability to recognize and understand the emotions of others. In practice, this is done by making an effort to see the world, problems, and situations with the eyes of those around us. But it is also done by delving into cultures and contexts that are different from those we are used to. And of course, it is done by traveling, but really traveling. Not flying over new lands on the surface inside the all-inclusive bubbles of some travel package. We have come to the end of this video. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it and what other interesting topics you would like us to bring to help you. See you in the next video.